Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. Well, today I'm out morning, enjoying the quiet, listening to the birds sing. You can hear traffic back off, but it's just one of those quiet mornings. A thunderstorm rumbled through just a little while ago, and so things are still rain. Water is still dripping off of some of the eaves and out of some of the trees, and if the breeze blows, you'll hear a little trickle of rain, leftover rainwater running out of the trees. But the birds are back singing, and it's supposed to get really warm today, but we still have rain chances throughout the day, and then we have severe storm chances again tonight. We're just in that kind of weather pattern right now. And if you've watched our video yesterday, you saw that we had lots of rain, not any severe as far as tornado weather or really super strong winds or big hail. We had pea-sized hail, and we had lots of mud. We had the fence damaged, and the cows got out, and that had to be taken care of. But that was yesterday's video. So today's video, the morning is just getting started, and Blade is off to work, and Cheyenne's been up throughout the night. She's had kind of a upset tummy and not been feeling really well, and so while the baby is sleeping and the boys are resting still, she is getting a little bit of extra rest. And so I'm out here enjoying this time, and I love to walk around. I always called it walkabouts when Howie was with me, and we would walk around early in the morning and look at how things were beginning to really kick in and to grow, and taking note of the things that were kind of struggling a little bit. I do have some of my little tomatoes just seem to be sitting there stalled. I think it's just simply that they need a little bit more sunshine and a teensy little bit less watering, but I'm definitely not complaining about all of the rains that we've had. The ponds and the creek are full. That's a blessing to us, going into the hot part of summer. And here we are at the beginning of June, and it feels wonderful out here. It's not hot. It's just a little bit cool. There's a little bit of a breeze, and it feels wonderful. And I have lots and lots of projects to do today. And knowing that we've got more rain chances coming, I know that there are big projects that need to be done that we just can't just get in the middle of today and be interrupted. So there's not really any point in starting those projects today. But that doesn't mean that we don't have anything to do. I've got to get in, and I've got beets to can. I have a beautiful friend that called and wanted to know if I wanted some beets that she wasn't able to use, and so she brought those over, and I'm going to be canning those up in different ways, meaning I'm going to do some as check the sizes on them. That's what I do, is sort them out on the beets. And so I have some that are like for small, like baby beets, and then we have some bigger ones that'll be needing to be quartered or sliced. And I do one more thing with them that I love to use when I'm having a salad. And I'll show you that process when I do the beet canning video. What I do with those that just kind of adds a little bit of a neat way of adding some beets to my salads that I have. Now, as far as adults in our household, I'm the only one that will eat pickled beets. I'm really the only one, the only adult in the house that'll eat beets anyway. They won't eat them roasted either. But the children I do have Rowdy and Howie where they will eat pickled beets. I haven't introduced roasted beets to them yet, but we'll see what happens with that. So I will be having a beet video coming up. I also have to get a strawberry pie filling made today and canned. I only use strawberries a couple of ways besides putting in the freezer. I don't really like to can strawberries unless I'm making strawberry jelly or strawberry pie filling that will be used within the year. I find that strawberries really don't hold their shape and their flavor much for me. And they kind of get, I don't add any food coloring to them or anything like that to enhance. And so after a while, it seems like the strawberry color dulls or fades, and it's just not appealing to me. So I won't can a whole lot of strawberry pie filling, but I will can. We have some strawberries that need to be used, and in a week or so, we have an event at our church, and Cheyenne is going to make a strawberry sheet cake, and she needs strawberry pie filling for that, so we'll be bringing that video to you in when she uses the strawberry pie filling. So I really have lots and lots of things to do today. I've got things that need to be canned to free up freezer space. So the things that we have coming on in the garden, and we're going to have, it's time to get some, one of our pigs processed, and so we'll be having some needed space for that. And we just have all kinds of things going on. And so I'm taking this time just to set and gather my thoughts. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk to you about today. And I know that a lot of you are on public jobs, and I was on public job for years and years. And so I know when you are on your job, you really can't take the kind of rest that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going to bed, taking a nap, that kind of thing. I'm talking about finding those quiet times, those times that you can take to recoup, regather, pull yourself together, or just to, take a little bit of a relaxer. Most of us, if we punch a time clock, it's usually a morning break and an afternoon break with lunch in between, or whatever schedule you happen to be on. There usually is some break times. But the kind of quiet time I'm talking about is the type that you can really get away to yourself and just rest and reflect just a little bit. Sometimes we need just a little bit of quiet time, a little bit of me time, a little bit of, I just need to sit here and gather my thoughts for just a minute. And there's not anything wrong with that. I think the world today is busier than ever. I'm not saying that more physical work is done, because we know in years past when things were done more manually, there was a lot of hard work to be done. But there is also a time that you need to take care of yourself just a little bit, pulling back, relaxing, a gathering of your thoughts, a time that you can just be quiet and reflect. Now, my granny, and I've told you about my granny before, she was one of the hardest working women that I have ever known. Grandpa kept her hopping, but there were times when my granny knew that she needed some quiet time. And usually her quiet time was at the very beginning of the day. And it worked best for her after she and Grandpa, of course, their kids grew up and were married. And, if they didn't have grandkids visiting them, she really could take advantage of those quiet times. After she and Grandpa both retired, she worked for Daisy BB Gun. Grandpa worked for Tyson's. And when they retired and things shifted a little bit, Grandpa still wanted her there with him, working right along with him, alongside him all throughout the day. And she was very faithful to do that. She didn't murmur and complain, but she took time for herself. I don't mean, and what I mean by that is early in the morning when everything was still quiet, and my grandpa slept in, but what I mean by sleeping in is he was probably up by 7:30, 8 o'clock. So Grandma got up even earlier than that. And my grandpa, when he would wake up in the mornings, he would still stay in bed for a little bit, and that's how he woke up. And he would, get up and sit on the side of his bed, and Grandma would take coffee into him, and he would take his time getting up and, taking his medications and getting himself going for the day. And Granny had already been up for a long time before that. She'd gotten dressed. She'd made coffee. That was usually one of the very first things she'd done, because they were big coffee drinkers. Most of my family is. And so Granny would get up and she would usually fix her a piece of toast, and she would go out into the yard. They had a swing out in the yard, and she would go out there and she would sit. She didn't have a cell phone. They didn't have cell phones then, and that she would have had anyways. And she would go out and she would sit and under the big old trees, and kind of like what I'm doing now. And she would listen to the birds sing, and she would usually take that time to sing or to pray, to collect her thoughts, prepare herself for the day. And it strengthened her. It done something for her spirit. It helped her to be where she needed to be in dealing with her thoughts and collecting herself and preparing for whatever the task was that they had for the day. There were other times that she knew that she needed a little bit more quiet, and so she would go out into the field, into the pasture, down into a wooded area, not deep woods, but like a little holler, what we call it, an area. And she would go out there and she would spend time in prayer. And when my dad was a little boy, they knew that that's what Grandma was doing, and they didn't bother her. But my dad, in his little innocence, took the time and build her a little altar that she could go down and she could kneel at, and she could spend time with the Lord and pray and refresh herself. Now, I'm not any different. I like my quiet time. I like to spend that time gathering my thoughts and pondering things. And Howie was that way. A lot of times he would go down to our other property and set. And in fact, he did a lot of his Tuesday videos. You would see him sitting out in front of, out on a porch. And that's where he would go and just be quiet and spend a little bit of time reflecting and gathering his thoughts. After he passed away, and I was in the closet one day, and there was a backpack in there, and I realized it had something to do with hunting. It was camouflage, and I don't really know all the ins and out about all of his hunting equipment, but I knew that this particular one I had seen him carry when he was going turkey hunting, or he was going to need some different things while he was out. And what he would do was he would take his backpack and he would go up on the hillside, and he would had his places that he would set, either his deer stand or different blinds or whatever, or even a special spot that he had picked. And then he would sit and wait like any other hunter. But as I went through his backpack and was looking over the things that he had in there, I reached in and I felt to pages, and I knew that it was a manual or something. Now, he usually didn't take his Bible when he went up on the hillside. He would gather thoughts for his sermons, of course, when he was taking his time, his quiet time like now. But he usually would search his scripture when he got back to the house. But he had a book in there, and it was a Louis L'Amour book, a Western. He liked to read Westerns, and he wasn't a avid reader. He didn't just sit down and pore over pages. But when he had a little bit of time, because he was a busy person, he ran a business, he helped, associate pastor in the church, we had the farm. He was busy all the time. But he took time, and he knew how valuable it was to spend that quiet time. And so it made my heart smile a little bit when I pulled that book out. And I thought about him sitting up there on the hillside, taking time to just rest and regroup. And I could imagine all of the thoughts that ran through his head and all of the conversations that he had with the Lord up there on that hillside. And it's precious. It's a precious memory. And one thing is because I know the value of taking time to rest and regroup. Now, studies show that those that are on the job, that get vacation time or have break times and other things going on during their workday, it shows that they are more productive, and that your employers can really expect more from their employees when they're given access to those kind of things. And but we all know that we don't always have time in our personal lives that we can punch the time clock and say, okay, this is what we are working with, and every single day depend on that. We can't always have rest breaks. There's lots of times that we are just extremely busy with the chores of everyday life. But the value of taking that time to have quiet time. Now, you don't always get to go to the fanciest of places. And you've seen, if you've been with me here at Cedar Creek for very long, you've seen, especially on the times that I've done Tuesday videos, or I say Tuesday videos, the videos where I'm sharing my heart with you. You have seen me in different locations. You've seen me lock myself in my bathroom. You've seen me in my bedroom sitting on the floor. You've seen me in the shop hiding in a little corner space, or in the farm truck, or in my personal truck because the weather wouldn't cooperate and I needed a quiet place to be able to talk to you on videos. So you can see that, we have to carve out little spaces for ourselves that we can, find a place to do rest and recuperate, or gather our thoughts. And you can see back behind me, of course, you see those blue tubs. Those are tubs that have plants in them growing for this year. And there's a hay patch back behind there that will probably be cut before too long. Back this way are some of my fruit trees that are actually tall enough to sit under. And when the sunlight is just right and there's shade under those trees, under those, there's back that way, there's a pear and an apple tree, and you've probably seen me under those trees before. And I like to drag one of my little folding chairs like this one I'm sitting in. I like to fold it over or drag it over there, and it just seems like you're kind of covered, and not necessarily in a secret place, because my grandkids always find me, which is fine. I love spending time with them. But it just seems like you're just kind of protected just a little bit, covered just a little bit, to be able to take that time to just say, I made it through whatever time of the day it happens to be. I made it through that activity. I got through this confrontation, or whatever it happens to be. Sometimes our emotions and the everyday things are flooding in there, and you just are overwhelmed, and we can lash out, or we can be short-tempered, or we can act a certain way. And we really, or I do anyways, need to find a place where I can just calm myself down, regroup, and think it's not so bad. Just let this thing go. Don't lose your temper. Don't, whatever it is, get control of that emotion. And it's important in my life, and I'm sure would be important in your life too, to be able to quiet yourself and center yourself and spend that time regrouping and renewing yourself, regenerating. Sometimes when we seek out our quiet time, we try to make it a problem-solving mission. And not every time that you go and seek out a quiet time does it need to be a problem-solving mission. It just needs to be a time that it's a quiet time for you. It's a time to just go and let it all go and just sit there. And I have found that sometimes when I just let it go and I begin to release the emotion, and sometimes there's tears, sometimes I go there in anger, and I went there because I don't want to act ugly. I want to just release that feeling. And if I'll just sit and not try to make it a problem-solving mission, a lot of times the Lord will just begin to deal with my heart and will direct me how to act the way I should act. And know that either I need to apologize because I've been short or I've been wrong about something, or I just need to let something go. This past year when I was working in those strawberry beds that those crazy hogs tore up, I was up there by myself sometimes, and I would be singing praises, and I would be having a good time listening to the birds sing like I am now, and hearing the cows bawling in the background and doing their thing in life. And I would begin to allow myself to let problems and ugly thoughts get in my head, and I'd get all stirred up and all worked up over something that I thought I had gotten rid of, and before I knew it, I was out there, and instead of having a quiet time, instead of having a calming and peaceful time, I was all worked up and mad and thinking things out of my head and saying, if they say this, I'm going to say this. And if they do this, and imagining all kinds of scenarios, and realizing that I was robbing myself of the peace and the quiet time that the Lord was actually giving to me, and I was missing out. And you have to really, if you're seeking out quiet time, if you're seeking out a time of just relaxing and rejuvenating, you have to protect what you allow in your quiet space. I would say, of course, I'm talking to you about quiet time, and I'm talking to you and filming it on my phone. But I would tell you that when you are in your quiet time, your phone is probably not the best thing for you to take there unless you are really good at staying off of your phone. Those things can rob you of your quiet time, and where the time that you set apart to do these things, to relax and to rejuvenate, you find that you've spent all your time on there watching people argue, or watching something that has just stolen all of the opportunity that you had to really feel refreshed when it was time for you to go back and face what you've came out of. So I would say don't take your phone and let that rob you of your quiet time. There's times that you can sit down and relax and just say, whew, I finished that task, and I'm just going to sit down for a few minutes and scroll through one of your social media things, and that's fine. But if you're really needing that quiet time, don't let your social media steal that from you. Don't, when I'm really, really wanting quiet time and time to myself, that's really not the time to allow other things to come in, and you get into arguments and you get into situations where there's no time to reflect, and there's no time to pray. There's no time, because you're spending all your quiet time arguing with maybe the situation or even the person that you really needed to separate yourself from, and to process and just give it over to the Lord and say, I can't carry this. I need to calm myself. I need to rejuvenate. And just let all that mess go and enjoy your quiet time. If you can get to a place where your quiet time is a time that you just spend and not overthink things, overprocess things, overanalyze things, but it's just a time for you to go, and you can listen to the birds sing. You can listen to even a thunder rumbling in the distance, or in my case, the train comes through, or I live here by the Locking Dam, and I can hear things going on over there. We have some little puppies out here, and I can watch those puppies play and learn their boundaries and learn the things that that puppies are learning. Or be distanced from my grandchildren and watch the joy on their faces as they chase butterflies. We begin to enjoy those quiet and simple things again, and not always have ourselves so laser focused on problem solving and trying to figure out all the things, that we just have quiet time. That's all that there is to it. It's just a quiet time. It's a time to let it all go, take the burdens off of our shoulders, set them down, and put your feet out, take your shoes off if you want to, and just breathe and just enjoy what the good Lord has given you. Now, all of our rest breaks are going to look different. I live in the country. I don't hear a whole lot except nature. Some of you live in the city and you don't really have this kind of quiet, but you make your own kind of quiet, or you know where it is that you can go, that you can relax. People relax and have their quiet time in a variety of different places, and mine is not going to be the same as yours. You may be able to really relax by going to the beach. Now, if I went to the beach, I don't think that I would be able to relax very well. I can't really give that a 100% because I've never been there. But I am, by nature, I don't like to be out in the hot sunshine all the time. I burn. That's just not my thing. And so everybody's place of quiet and rest is going to be different. It doesn't make mine right and yours wrong. It just makes it different, as we are different. But we all need quiet time to reflect, a time to just let it all go. When we're able to rest and we're able to have that quiet time that we can really just come to terms with the day and really just pull ourselves together, then it seems like the day goes better. We're reminded that God's hand is upon us and that we can go throughout the day and face it by remembering the quiet and remembering the peacefulness. Sometimes we can find quiet even when we're working. My granny and all the ladies that I know really throughout my lifetime had big windows right there where they was washing dishes. And I can see them as memories from my childhood, looking out their window while they were washing dishes. My granny oftentimes would be singing, and she'd be looking out the window washing the dishes. And you could tell that even though the dishes was a chore, that my granny was relaxed and that she was calm. And Howie made me some big picture windows in front of my sink. Actually, he didn't put the windows in. The windows were already there, but he reframed them and put in wide trim and built me a big shelf so that I could have little doodads there in the windowsill that I enjoyed, and little plant starts and little things like that bring me joy, and always makes me think of the ladies that went before me. And while I'm standing there washing dishes, I can enjoy looking out the window, but I can also look at those little things in the window, and those are little things that I put up there to make me think of different people or different times in my life, and it brings me joy, and it brings me peace, so that even in times that it's chaotic and it's this has got to be done and that has got to be done, if we learn to be quiet, then even in those times where it's crazy and chaotic, we can feel calm, we can feel peace, because we learned what it was all about. A lot of us don't have time to take big, long vacations, and I'm not knocking you if you do. I don't like to be away from home myself. But a few years before Howie passed away, we actually went on an 8-day vacation. We had a certain location that we had to be to. So we took days getting there, and just, we planned Not a big, busy itinerary. We just said we'd like to go here and here while we were on our journey. And we just took our time, and we went to Baker Creek Seed, and we visited an Amish village, and we did some things that brought peace and relaxation to us. And it's something that I will never ever forget. And even you may not always be able to go on vacations or cruises or all of those things. But if you know the joy of searching out quiet time, carving that time out, then even if you can't afford to go on vacation, or you don't have time, or you're in a season of your life that's just not feasible right now, if you know how to seek out those quiet times, even if it's sitting in the cab of an old Josie Ferguson tractor, then you're fortunate. And I think that it helps us be a little bit healthier. Well, guys, I got to get to work. So it means that my quiet time is almost over for the day. This is Josie, y'all. I love you. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. Find you a place to have some quiet time today. And until next time, we're gone.